Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I had to cover this story today. So apparently Harry and Meghan are still playing victim, despite living in a 16-bathroom mansion, despite living in Montecito with all the celebrities, with all the billionaires. They're still playing victim. So apparently they've been evicted from Frogmore. They're calling it an eviction, but it could just be that they're not going to renew the lease because they don't use the property. It's not like they have a transatlantic lifestyle where they go back to the UK for 6 months of the year. They split their time, as they said they were going to do in their manifesto. How did that work out? They live in California. Harry has said in no uncertain terms that he considers the US his home now. And they basically branded the UK racist, said that they had to flee for their lives. So what ties do they still have to the UK that they can justify keeping that property? It's like they're holding the property to ransom. If you decide that we can't live in that property anymore, if you take it back, then, you're victimizing us or punishing us, as their mouthpiece wrote in his article. So I'm going to have a look at this article and see what their mouthpiece has been saying, the propaganda they're spreading regarding this whole situation. So Harry and Meghan rage at cruel punishment after Charles decided to evict them from Frogmore Cottage just 24 hours after Spare was published. Stunned couple are already moving furniture to California, including an ottoman bench and a chaise lounge. First of all, they're acting as if they've been evicted out on their ear, like regular people have had to face at times when they can't pay their rent or, literally finding themselves on the street. This is kind of like how they're acting. Absolutely ridiculous. A property they don't use, a property that they don't even seem to like. Look how they were complaining about their Nottingham cottage. Yes, it's a smaller property, but Catherine and William lived there for 3 years without complaining, even when they had a child. And they're acting as if, I don't get the impression that they even like Frogmore Cottage. From my personal observation, it doesn't even seem, she doesn't like old English style country mansions. She doesn't like that kind of style. She's very much into the whole modern beige or just white, very bland. And, I don't get the impression that she values old country, English country style. But, okay, so King Charles III began evicting Harry and Meghan from Frogmore Cottage just 24 hours after his son released Spare. And the couple believe it is cruel. It was claimed today. His Majesty initially gave his son and daughter-in-law weeks to pack up their grace and favour British home in the grounds of Windsor Castle after Harry released his memoirs. But now they have at least until after the coronation in May, a friend of the couple has claimed. A source told Page 6 that Britain's monarch started the eviction process on January the 11th, the day after Spare had its global release. And the thing is, Spare, in no uncertain terms, made it clear that he does not value his relationship with the royal family, with his own family. He doesn't value that connection to the royal family, except for when it suits him. That book clearly was a bridge burner. So what on earth did they expect? It wasn't cruel for them to throw their family under the bus, ridicule their family. It wasn't cruel to embarrass their family on a worldwide scale. That wasn't cruel. It wasn't cruel to publish private text messages to reveal private family conversations. It wasn't even cruel to tell William's story about the loss of his mother on his behalf without his permission. That wasn't cruel. But it's cruel to tell you to take your stuff out of a property that you do not use nor value. Their mouthpiece is using this to cry victimhood and to also push this whole idea of security, as if now their security is in jeopardy when they come to the UK. He referred to it in his article as a sanctuary. Apparently Frogmore is a sanctuary for Harry and Meghan. Now that is absolutely laughable. That is not a sanctuary for them because they don't live there, and it's basically, it wouldn't surprise me if it's just there for them to have for tax purposes, so he can claim that he still has some sort of residence in the UK. Even on the royal website, it lists Frogmore Cottage as their home. When they're not working royals, they don't do any royal duties anymore, not official royal duties, and really shouldn't be on that website. But it's almost Almost as if that property has been used as a smokescreen to act as if Harry is bi-coastal, splitting his time between the UK and the US, when really he's burned all bridges in the UK and he now resides in California. He's made it very clear that's where he considers his home. So enough of the pretense, and I don't blame King Charles for deciding that's enough now, especially after that book came out. I mean, what do they expect? The entitlement of these people. And if anything, King Charles has been gracious to give them the time after the coronation to extend it a little bit further. The Sussexes have reportedly started planning how to move their belongings to California, including an ornate Ottoman bench and a chaise lounge from the home they lived in until Megxit and stayed out following the Queen's death last September. And again, the fact that they have to move their property is nothing new. They're millionaires. All of it's going to be done for them. They don't have to lift a finger. It's not going to be that hard. It's not going to be that much of an inconvenience for them, since they can pay for whatever they need to be paid for, to ship everything. Are we supposed to feel sorry for them because they have to have the slight inconvenience of getting their stuff moved when they don't have to lift a finger? The Insider told the Sussexes' favoured royal reporter, Omid Scobie, I don't even like saying his name, today, it all feels very final and like a cruel punishment. It's like the family want to cut them out of the picture for good. Harry and Meghan have until early summer to vacate. Initially, they were given just weeks, but now they have at least until after the coronation. Again, I can't get my head around the way these people operate. They're saying that the royal family have cut them off. What on earth was that book about? If that's not cutting off your family, I don't know what is. They're professional bridge burners, yet they want us to believe that they're the ones who have been cut off. They're the ones who have been doing the distancing for as long as we can remember now. For years now, they have been doing the distancing. It's all come from them. And people have bent over backwards to accommodate them, to hear them out. And the fact that they're still on the royal website, the fact that none of the royal family have spoken out in response to their claims, just kept a dignified silence. I can't understand how they can still claim to pretend to be victims at this stage. They're the aggressors. Let's just put that out there now. They are the ones who are the aggressors in this whole situation. And the rest of the royals have had to just keep quiet and take it. But yeah, no matter how much they do the very thing that they're accusing others of, they will still claim victimhood. Incredibly, Charles has reportedly offered the keys to Frogmore to Harry's disgraced uncle, Prince Andrew, who is apparently resisting because he wants to stay in his larger Windsor Royal Lodge, where he pays a reported £250 a week. 30-room mansion, complete with 98 acres of land and a swimming pool. Wow. I think it's a good idea to, give Frogmore to Andrew. He does not need a 30-room mansion. Again, that's all about status. But what do you need that for? Your family have moved out. Your kids are grown. I don't know if Fergie lives with you. But you do not need such a large property. And the optics aren't looking too good in that regard. Omid said that it's a 5-minute walk from Windsor Castle. Is that not a property that's available for them to stay at then when they come to the UK? They only come to the UK to promote themselves because the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, that's an event that they couldn't miss because it's an opportunity to promote themselves. They came for the Queen's funeral. Granted, it wouldn't have looked good if they didn't come because they are family, so you have to come for, your grandmother's funeral, obviously. I've never heard of them coming to the UK in a private capacity so that their children can get to know their grandfather, so their children can play with their cousins. I've never heard of them coming to the UK in that capacity, only for huge events, only for huge historic events to promote themselves. And if that's the case, you can come to the UK and there will be plenty of security for you. This is not a case for them to be given private Metropolitan Police security just because now they can't stay at Frogmore. If anything, the security at Windsor Castle, the security at Buckingham Palace would be a lot more thorough, a lot more stringent than they would ever have at Frogmore anyway. And they know that because that's where the real royals will be staying. If it's good enough for King Charles, if it was good enough for the late Queen, the security at Windsor is certainly good enough for Harry and Meghan. So this is just an absolute stretch to be using this for Harry's case against the Home Office for his security that he wants to get for free. An absolute stretch. And I believe this is coming from the couple because this is their mouthpiece. This person is their mouthpiece. So I believe we're hearing Harry and Meghan's thoughts regarding this whole situation. I'm sure they're going to act like they're not bothered. They're going to act like they're not bothered, but this is basically showing what they really think of the whole situation. They were planning their move from day one. Oh, another thing, they got that property under false pretenses. They obtained that property under false pretenses because they were supposed to be working royals, representing the Queen in the UK, getting on with their jobs quietly like all the other royals. And that's why they were given that property as a gift. The Queen allowed them to use that property to make a home for themselves. But before we knew it, they had absconded to Hollywood where they really wanted to be, and they're still holding on to that property, keeping it to ransom. If you take it from us now, you're a racist. If you take it from us now, you're cruel. If you take it from us now, you're punishing us. And I'm glad that that's not going to fly this time. It makes no sense for them to hold on to that property other than for their own personal motives, whether it's tax purposes, whether it's to still be on that website, to act like you're still connected to the royals. There's no reason for them to keep that property. And Mr. Scobie has said that at least 2 members of the royal family are appalled. He does not name them, but the Sussexes are known to be close to Princess Beatrice and Eugenie. Obviously, it's them. Royal sources have declared this spells the end of Harry and Meghan's time in the UK. In 2020, there were reports that most of their belongings were removed when they emigrated. Despite the news from Britain, Harry and Meghan were happy last night as they pitched up at Hollywood's hotspot, San Vicente Bungalows, the top private club and eatery in Los Angeles for A-list actors, music stars, and studio executives. So why were they there then? Doesn't sound like they belong there. Hours later, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert released a new clip with Harry filmed in New York a month ago, where he answered quick-fire questions about his life, where he said that his favourite smell is his wife. It's just so cringeworthy. There's no mystique about them. So people aren't going to care when they see these staged photos of them. Taxpayers pay $2.4 million under the pretense that you were going to be living there as working royals. And now they want to get a pat on the back because they paid it back. Of course they have to pay it back because they're not living there anymore. Then you go and buy a 16-bathroom mansion while the taxpayers have paid for your refurbishments. They had to pay it back. They had no choice. So again, they don't get a pat on the back because they paid back the $2.4 million. And the only reason they paid it back is because it was demanded that they pay it back. The royal family had let that slide, which, they have let a lot of things slide, let's just be honest. That $2.4 million would still be outstanding. Because they don't feel that they need to do these things. They don't feel that they need to do the right thing. Because they have no integrity. They expect everything to be handed to them, but they don't want to give anything back in return. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks to all those who have subscribed. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. I'm blown away. So thank you so much. And I really appreciate all your comments. You're probably not going to agree with me with everything because I do other topics as well than Harry and Meghan, because I cannot do videos on them constantly, because it does really annoy me. It really does. I'm not going to lie. But I appreciate all the comments, all of the people who have subscribed and who listen to me waffle on. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves.